Thank you for joining me for First Drafts That Glow. My name is Avon, or Nails That Glow, depending on how you know me. This is episode 15, but it is season 2, but I'm going to continue the numbering from last year. Oh Me Touch was the last one. That was episode 14. Can you believe that last year, in my old place, I wrote 14 short stories, all off of just a few random words, most of the time not even really knowing what was going to happen up until I got to the point where I felt like it needed to end. Now, of course, not all of them were winners. I mean, that's kind of the point of this project, to experiment, to practice, to challenge myself when it comes to writing stories. And, I was going to do like 16 or something, but I stopped at 14 because I moved. Hence why the background is completely different. The place I live in now is really kind of not solely my space. So I can't set it up as a studio like I did my other place, which is fine. So now I have what you see here. I honestly don't know what's here. I hope it's cool. I hope it's really cool. Anyways, as always, this story I wrote in one sitting. Just wrote down a couple of words. Had a vague idea of what I was going to do. Since this was the first one, it did simmer in my head for a few days before I actually started writing it. Unlike every other story that I've written so far, I've written 6, and I'm gonna be recording them one after the other and releasing them 1 week after, once a week. I should write this intro down. I should have a script of what I say every opening, but you don't watch this show because it's perfectly scripted or anything. So, I just choose a couple of words. I build a title out of those words. I generally have an idea of the genre that I'm going to be writing in, because that, flavors a lot of how I start writing. And then I just go from there. And I also want to say I'm testing out a new lipstick, which is probably a bad idea. So if it starts to wear off halfway through, whatever. I'm still fucking adorable. Look at me. Hail Terran Empire. I mean, what? Did I say that out loud? Captain Giorgio. Ugh. Or Emperor Giorgio. Anyways. So, this new series of stories, going to follow pretty much the same format. I think I've started kind of resting just under 7,000 words. I'm not really sure if I'll go over those amounts of words in the future. And if you can hear a meow, this is a kitty cat that I now live with. His name is Thor. And there's another one wandering around named Bentley. Bentley may choose to find my lap while I'm recording. And since I don't do any jump edits or, correctional edits in this show, that might interrupt the story a little bit. But yeah, so I think I've chatted quite a bit, probably enough. I'm sure you want to hear this story. Now, as you clicked on the video, you already know the title, For Trust and Change. Now, this one is an adventure story, but it does have sci-fi elements, and it's about cats. That's right, kids. This space cat wrote a story about cats. Who would have thought? Go figure. I'm so tragically not cool, but I'm still really cute. And, just as a side note, just for those of you who've been following me for a while, I am a little different. My chest has developed a little bit more. My skin and my body shape has changed ever so slightly. being on hormone replacement therapy since the end of November 2001, there's been a there's been a lot of stuff that's changed, and my voice does go up and down. I'm still experimenting with how that's going to work, but yay, non-binary trans femme, you know, it's just yeah, not going into the sad stuff of the world, but it is what it is, and you're here to hear me read a story representing the LGBTQIA plus community, which I do because why the hell not? And we need more stories that aren't using our sexual preference and our identity as like, a joke or a token character that's all they are. Like, anyways, listen to me rant. I rant. And I also wear glasses when I read. And I also read from this thing. And I don't care if you like it or not, but it is stupidly convenient. Stupidly convenient. All right. Here we go. This is For Trust and Change, a First Drafts That Glow story by me, Avon. No idea why I do that. I just did it because there's somebody who will be watching that will be very amused by that. All right. Anyways. Uh-oh. It went off. Okay. All right. Here we go. The longest day Hades could remember in years was close to an end. 13 filtration failures, and 6 power-related repairs. It would not have taken so long if the new recruit, Vincent, could work on his own. Vincent had been with the repair team for 1 month and was not as fast learning as the others. Hades asked the medical AI if the new member's physical system was up to the task. The reply was always a yes. Janet and Castor could work on their own just fine, but Hades had to keep the kid close and make sure he understood everything before allowing him free range of the ship. Hades stood on top of the console of the tram, enjoying the rush of the wind on his face as it sped down the track. He would flick his British tuxedo tail in snapping motions left and right with each light that zoomed overhead. The silver of Vincent's Tokanese fur almost glowed in the shadow of the seats further back in the tram. Vincent never liked how fast the tram went. They were speeding. See, this is also why you come to read. I don't rehearse this, so I'm going to mess up a whole bunch, but, it's like I'm sitting with you, reading you a story. All right, anyways. They were speeding the 3 miles down the length of the ship to meet up with Janet and then to pick up Castor. Hades was tired. He was not sure if he would have the energy to play with Castor when they got to their apartment space. It had to be how old he was getting. After 13 years of working on the ship, 6 days a week, 6 or more hours a day, it might be closer to retirement than he wanted. The atrium the elders retired to had birds, rivers, chipmunks, and an arrangement of other animals he would love to spend time with, even if they were not nearly as smart as the enhanced cats. Sleeping 16 hours a day, not having to work, being fed fresh meats with veggies and marrow, the dream. Not today, and most likely not tomorrow. Castor relied on him. Vincent needed to be trained before Janet could take over. The chimes of the tram were followed by a soft, neutral voice. Mile 2. Section 20, Station 4. Vincent was still not used to fully understanding the voices. He seemed to not take to his implants. At first, Hades thought that Vincent was not born correctly. No genetic alteration to be smarter before the implants. No. He showed his ability to process information and use his backpack tool system. It was just frustrating to Hades that the kid was not getting the hang of it. Janet falls from a high perch in the ceiling next to the tram door as Hades gets out. Her long, dark gray hair covered in the white fluff of frozen carbon dioxide that was venting from the pipe she repaired. "Did you get Castor yet?" she says as she greets Hades with a side body rub. Hades checks his logs and realizes he hasn't spoken to Castor since the morning. No, you were on the way. Have you spoken to him? Is everything all right? He messaged me that one of the animal banks had an error with the power to the main console running to that fridge. He wasn't sure he could fix it. Well, did you help him? Janet looking away as she licks her front legs and paws before saying, "Now why would I help him? He's your boyfriend." Hades stops himself from making the mistake of engaging her again. Janet was not eager to be mates with anyone, but assumed the leader of the pride would choose her. When she found out Hades was most interested in Castor, her microaggressions got under his claws. "Just get on the tram. We'll go get him now." As the tram sped off, Hades tries to make direct communication with Castor. Normally, he would use the ship's AI, but he did not want Janet or Vincent to listen. "Yes?" the voice chimed. "Castor, this is Hades." "Hello, lover. I saw the tram coming my way on the map. Why'd you call me?" "Did you call Janet telling her you needed help?" "No. I asked her if she recalled the voltage and amps for the system I was working on. I didn't want to spend the half hour scrolling through the dumb AI prompts before getting it." I see. "Why? What did she say?" "I worry she might be depressed. She keeps trying to pick a fight over nothing, really." "Oh, she's still mad you don't want us all sleeping in a pile." "That was 7 years ago." "Well, I will lick your head when you get here, so no worries." During the internal exchange Hades was having on the direct link, Janet sat tall next to the loaf shape of Vincent, with his ears back. This is possibly the safest thing on the entire ship." Looking up, the young cat sees the lights move rapidly past the windows. He begins to feel uneasy. "I think I just need to get used to it." "It has been months," she said. "Stop acting like a kitten. We are above such things." Janet bops the youth on the head. "Line up, or you will be put in the atrium without small creatures to hunt and other cats to play with." Vincent shuddered. The idea of being alone with a robot dropping paste for food every day, the sky not being the sun lamps like the rest of the ship, but some kind of low-energy light to allow the fungus in the atrium to grow. It would also be damp all the time. He felt like it was cruel to require the cats to work or live out their lives in such a place with the minds they have. He would tough it out. "Leave me alone, Janet, or I'll find another place to sleep than in the big pillow with you." A cat requires social life, social sleeping. As independent as she was, she still wanted a large pile of cats to sleep with. The heartbeats, the soft purr variations, the warmth. "Fine. I'm sorry. The day had some challenges, and frozen air gives me a headache. I should not have snapped at you." Vincent rubs his head under her jaw. "Cool." The tram stops as soon as both conversation Okay. The tram stops soon after both conversations. A Scottish fold short hair with rich orange and soft white belly and paw tips pounces onto the tram, knocking Hades off the console. They bat at each other's heads, rolling around, before suddenly stopping and fixing themselves with their tongues. Castor purrs as he looks at Vincent and Janet. "How are you guys?" "I want to get to the nest so I can watch more movies," Vincent says with excitement. Having melted, leaving a soft dampness to her fur, the carbon dioxide having melted, leaving a soft dampness to her fur, Janet shakes, making sure the the cast off gets caster. Why did I write that? Did you manage to fix the problem, Caster? Yep. I had to fuss with the help of the AI system. That thing is worse than the chatbots they have in the canteen. He looks over his fur, seeing small drops on it. Licking one area, he lets out a soft meow. Oh, I like how the air of the ship mixes with the frozen carbon dioxide as it sublimates. I wonder if planets were as humid as this ship is. Janet curls up into a roll, pretending not to hear him. Vincent stands, dropping to the floor from the seat. One show I watched, they were in a place of sand and no water, like the atrium with the cactus. Castor bumps his head on Vincent. Yeah, that's called a desert. That being the only one tells me it was not the dominant land type the humans lived in. Hades meows sharp before the tram moves again. Later that night, Vincent was glued to the wall space showing some movie called They Live. His tail flipping around and the occasional loud purr followed by a chirping meow when surprised. Hades and Castor were arranging the table for all of them. The arms from the backpacks, moving things and pushing buttons. Janet rubbing herself on a post wrapped in a rough rope to help clean her fur before having the arms do the finer tasks of cleaning her ears. The meal was fish this night. Hades would have the AI pull a different fish from the irradiated supply each time they ate fish. This was grouper. Castor was careful to section the head so everyone got some of the sweeter parts. Janet helped remove the bones. The flurry of the mechanical arms working on the fish as the cat set up or loafed was amazing to Vincent. He remembers his first few weeks of awareness and the classes. They explain all of this and show animations about it. It was another thing to see it. He wondered when he would be good enough to join in on the prep work. His manipulation of the arms was still awkward at best. Before eating, Janet removed her right eye and polished it. The implant had tendrils that magnetically snapped back into place. Hades looked to everyone at the table once each plate was filled and the water was turned on. We are a pride, and we always will be. He begins to eat, followed by the others. Vincent and Janet were fast asleep in the large pillow nest on the floor. Hades and Castor had a small platform hung from the ceiling in a large bowl shape, filled with pillows and a heat pad covering the entire bottom, and a sun lamp right above them. The pillow nest on the floor had all of that, but Hades and Castor liked having space for just themselves. Hades spoons Castor, licking his head and ears. Castor purrs softly, then returns the favor. They both lay on their sides facing each other, slowly pawing the air, occasionally touching paws. Stopping and turning into a loaf, Hades gets a serious air about him. Castor sits up. What is wrong? I need to know what's going on with you and Janet. She doesn't like you, and it's not just the sleeping arrangement. Well, I think she gets mad when I shoo her off from work I can do on my own. Why would you do that? Hades tilts his head. I just want to be alone sometimes. She's so needy and I just want to get the work done and listen to some Chopin. Okay, well, when did this start? We all have to work together. We have all been working together for 10 years. I haven't heard anything about this. Castor looks off to the side. I know you're in charge, and I just didn't want you to think, and I didn't want to think you would judge me. Hades lowers his head before getting up to sit upright next to Castor. Babe, since when do I judge anyone? I just want us all to be happy cats. The system will only let 4 of us be active at any time, so making the most of this time is important. Retirement doesn't last nearly as long. Leaning into Hades, Castor purrs. Yeah, I just don't want to get you or her in trouble. If she offers you help again, you let her. All right, fine. The klaxon waking them up was unpleasant. Hades thinks the humans were not thinking of the ears of cats when they designed it. A foolish thing to overlook since they picked cats to maintain the ship. Each of them accessed the ship's alert system. The ship's AI shows them a fire and the spread of it, giving them directions to put on the air harness due to the expulsion of air in that area to kill off the flames. It ends with a small list of possible causes. On the top is a failure in a coolant pipe pressure. Castro looks to Janet. Was that the area you were at? Janet checks location. Fuck, it is. All right, we have no idea what happened, so gear up and get on the tram, Hades says using the sharp tone of a dad. Already in air gear, Vincent is waiting for the rest of the team at the tram door. This is so exciting. Not exciting, kid, Castor says flatly. The last time there was a fire, we had no free time for 3 months. Pacing they all did on the tram on the way to the fire looked like a dance, instinctively avoiding each other as they jump up and down from the seats to the console to the floor. Just before arriving, Hades instructs them all to focus and study the map of the area they have to attend to. They stop at the door on the tracks as it closes. I don't know what that says. You know, sometimes when I'm writing, I just write and I think I'm making sense. And then when I go back and actually read it, like now, I'm like, the fuck is that? All right, anyways. Jaina looks over Vincent's air gear, reminding him how cold the vacuum of space is, even through the gear. The pressure release makes all of them feel slight pain behind their eyes before yawning to force the pop as the gear normalizes pressure. The gravity of the ship's movement being at 0.7 Earth, still working. Vincent thought it might be like the movies where it always made them float as if the gravity of the entire vessel was gone in that one space. Not feeling the friction of air did contribute to his stumbling out of the tram. He thought how strange such a small thing could change how you move. Hades sent Janet off to the AI panel to relay information and help the ship's computer shut down and auto-repair what it could. Castor was sent into the room that had been burning. He needed to review the damage and order parts from stock or the printer. Hades told Vincent that they were going to check the pipe assembly that led to the fire. The space between levels and walls was narrow. It was impossible for the ship's machines to fit in the tighter spots, and human beings in here would only work if it was just their hand. This was the primary reason cats were picked for the job on the long journey the ship was making to another star system. With some genetic modification and some cybernetic implants, they could be smart enough and capable enough to effect nearly all maintenance. They also required the lowest amount of resources out of the other options. Chimps and small monkeys ate too much, and the tendency to have temper tantrums was difficult to suppress. Gorillas were far too large. The council refused to create new humans, so cats it was. The cartilage between their bones and the odd habit they had of being able to jump and land without harming themselves was very useful. Hades pushed between two pipes and jumped up a shaft with a quickness that Vincent was amazed by. He was still getting used to the backpack. It made his spine feel funny, and sometimes he could swear it was moving on its own. He deployed some of the arms, using them to help him up the shaft. The next area was just 1.5 feet tall. At the other end, it was very dark. Directing him to interface with the panel further down on the left wall, Hades went to the other end to verify the area was safe. Once plugged in, Vincent was fed a series of readings and alerts. He accessed the section's core and then attempted each connection to the fire zone. He tagged a cluster of no response connections, sending the information to the entire team. he disconnected and then joined Hades. Below on the other side, there was a square room. The wires that had burst from the wall no longer alive. The pipe on the other side that carried a mixture of coolant through the ship had burst. That forced the pipe to twist at each end like a flower wilting. Hades prepped some of his arms to begin mapping the pipe size needed for the repair. Vincent saw some of the wires had been cut by fragments of the pipe, shredding the protective layers and pushing through the 2-inch plasteel plates connecting the pipe metal to another set of wires. Connecting the pipe metal to another set of wires. There we go. In his head, he could almost see how the fractions of moments before the ship could detect the surge, the fire started. The other side of that wall had a few pumps of fluids that were used for fertilizer and fuel for some of the atriums. That material ignited and set the flames up and down the pipe, causing that to burst into the lab and living quarters in this section. Vincent was so happy that nobody lived here right now. He also asked the ship the chances of this kind of accident. The ship was confused, replying that the burst pipe would not create enough force to push any material through the wall or ignite the fertilizer. Vincent tried to rephrase. The ship still insisted that it was not possible for this to happen the way he described, offering a few other possibilities the fire could have started in this area. Vincent discounted each. They either required extra material or an extra explosive being involved. Hades finishing scanning, started to leave for the next area, before being stopped by Vincent. Sir, can we direct communicate? Sure, Vincent, what's going on? Look, I know I'm new in everything, and I might just be missing something. The ship insists this could not have happened. It keeps offering me other possible ways this space could have started. The ship keeps offering me other possible ways the fire could have started. I cross-checked with all of the information we have, and it had to have started here. But, trailing off, Vincent looks to the bit of metal sticking in the wall. But what, kid? Eyes growing larger than his head, Vincent nearly yells into direct communication. The metal in that shard is not the same metal as the pipe. Hades growls softly. Let me use my analyzer. His arms come out, doing the same scans and making the same queries. It's going to take a moment. What do you think while we wait? Inside his head, Hades was sure the kid was being a bit extra. He wanted to prove himself, so he needs to find something impossible or new. Well, some of the movies I have watched talk about someone on a ship that purposely damages the craft in favor of some kind of nefarious task or end. Uh-huh. So you think a robot or an AI planted something in here? They can't even get in here. No, but a cat can. Hades feels his tail go into full bush mode inside the airsuit. Are you trying to suggest one of us did this? I just can't think of anything else, and the ship refuses to accept my report until it's something that can actually happen. Hold on. Hades looks off to the distance. Do it again, he says out loud. Cross-reference with all known explosions on the ship since launch. Vincent had noticed that Hades and the others would speak out loud when talking to the ship or any of the AI. He never thought to speak out loud. The series of sounds they make would sound like noise to any other human, but the details in the sound made up the words. The rest of the communication was done by mentally interfacing with the machines. Hades bats Vincent on the head. We need to gather everyone now. Go to the tram and do not ask questions. As he makes his way out of the area, he hears Hades order the ship to send robots to cut the wall open and replace the entire section. No repairs could be made. This was weird. Vincent had been taught that total replacement was to be avoided at all costs. They had finite resources. The humans would need to be brought out of stasis, and that would drain the resources more. Vincent could hear the nervous tremble in Hades' voice. I think I might made a mistake here. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Janet was at the tram. Castor fell from above soon after Vincent sat next to the tram. Hades called through the comms. We all need to get to the home lab for review. Fuck that, Castor says immediately. This is not a discussion, Hades snaps. Janet sighs, looking at the kid. Well, this might be it for us. Sorry about that. Is he serious? Are we all going back to the lab? Vincent starts to panic in his ears. Castor growls. They're going to pull our chips. If they're even slightly damaged, put us in the retirement atrium without the enhancements. We'd be just a few steps up from normal cats and idiots to the old-timers that still have their gear. That's enough, all of you. That's enough, all of you. Hades comes over the comms again. I'm giving the AI its orders for the replacement. Then I will... A soft fuzz from the comms then goes silent. Janet stands. Hades, come in. Babe, Hades, are you there? Castor nearly growls and cries over and over. After a few moments that could have been a year to each of them, the screaming into the comms and not getting a reply finally got an answer as one of the bots cuts its way through the half-melted door. When it came into the light of the tram, it was holding Hades with a bit of shrapnel right between his forelegs. Castor grabs Hades with his arms, yelling at the bot. Janet interfaces with the bot. Vincent sits, not fully comprehending what just happened. Castor was not to be stopped from howling. Between catching his breath and getting some water from the air suit, he would say softly, My love, this was not our future. Please don't be gone. Then howling again. Vincent counted 10 minutes before Janet ordered Castor to be silenced. She was now in charge, as the next in line. Here's what we know. Hades was talking to the bots, and the ship giving confirmation required for this level of replacements. The ship refused to accept the event as an accident. It took him agreeing for all of us to go in for review in case something was wrong with us. Just as he was about to come out here, two of the bots and Hades were thrown across the area by an explosion. This one was most definitely an explosive. The fucking ship is insane, Castor cries out loud. That is enough, Castor, Janet growls. Get in the tram. We're all going to the home lab so Hades can be prepared for burial and for us to be reviewed. Can we go back to the nest first? I want to get the portable screen. It has a few movies I still want to watch. Vincent doing his best, large, begging eyes. Janet was going to tell him he would be sedated the entire time they were there, but did recall how attached he was to the screens. He just needed something to calm him down. Hades was the only parent figure the kid had. Fine. But just for that, then we go to the home lab. No eating, no napping, no grooming. Castor begins to howl again. This is your fault. He looks at Janet. You did this. Had you only done the repairs that was described in the readout. What makes you think I didn't? Janet turns around before getting on the tram, looking away and cradling Hades with his arms on his back. Nothing. Let's go. I don't want to think about it. My partner is dead and you did it. The tram ride was not as scary now as it was before to Vincent. Something drastically changed inside him. He accessed the ship and queried how many cats had died in service. The reply was less than 1%, and each time it was health-related, save for two. One was an airlock seal burst. The second was a falling bot, crushing the cat. It was just not in the record for explosions. Not like this. At the nest, Vincent rushes to his screens, grabbing two and picking up the stuffed mouse with catnip inside on his way back to the tram. He saw Janet collecting a few things Hades liked before the tram zipped off. Castor, where are you going? Janet yells into the air. A reply comes back, played on all of the speakers around them, followed by a klaxon. Hold on. I think I missed saying something here. So Vincent rushes to his screens. He picks them up. And he sees Janet collecting a few things. And they get on the tram without Castor, and it speeds off. There we go. Castor, where are you going? Janet yells into the air. The reply comes back, played on all of the speakers around them, followed by a klaxon. I wanted you to die, Janet. You should have set the bomb off when you were making your repair. I must have done something wrong when I set it up. Janet looks around, eyes wide. Castor, why would you want to kill me? I made an agreement with a human that's awake. Vincent looks at Janet, noticing her internally reference all the data she could. Castor, whatever that human told you, it won't happen. They're likely suffering from brain damage. Come back. We can get the system to help us. Help them. Help you. No. After a few growls and chirps, I wanted to go to one of the atriums with Hades and a few kittens, and it just be us. No other cats. No tasks. No nothing. I wanted more than a few years after retiring to be with him. Janet motions Vincent to call another tram, making her way to him. Listen, Castor, I figured out where the human is. That part of the ship does not have enough proper air for them. Whatever woke them, and the lack of air, it's distorting them. They will not be able to access the ship to give you what you want either. A few hundred need to be awake for the ship to hand over control. You know these things. The new tram shows up. Okay, well, they didn't get on the tram. This is why it's a first draft, because sometimes you just make a mistake like this. You think you wrote that. So Castor got on the tram and zipped off with Hades. That's what happened. And then the new tram shows up. Vincent and Janet get on and zip off. So sorry for the confusion, kids. Still better than Twilight, right? Anyways. Castor's voice, sounding wrong after so much howling, comes back. You are wrong. That's why I set a series of bombs all over the ship. Vincent sits to attention. You did what? In another 3 days, all of them will go off, and the ship systems will reboot, the human says. They will allow them to take control before the ship comes online. I was supposed to have Hades. You took him from me. Janet links with Vincent, showing him the details of her plan. Vincent nods. Listen, Castor, I know you are in pain. I never understood your being so selfish and possessive. None of us did. But Hades loved you. So he got the ship to build you two a bed. No cat wants to always sleep away from other cats. Not like this. You could have asked Hades to call you and keep in touch with you. You could have even applied for early retirement. I never... Shut up. Castor's voice grates and shakes the speakers. You're just trying to keep me unfocused. I'm going to get the human to activate all of the bombs early. What are you going to get out of that? Vincent's voice stumbles slightly. Hades is dead. We know what's going to happen. Pretty sure the ship is working on how to stop you and the human now. Just let's go to the home lab and warn our friend. Shut the fuck up, kid. You know the ship would not let me back into service. I would not be allowed around other cats like us. The human is still going to do the plan. Might as well get something out of the deal. Janet nods to Vincent as the tram stops at a transit hub. They leap across a few platforms, jumping onto one marked Cold Storage, Supervision, Wing, Alpha 4. Janet talks to the tram before zipping off. As they travel, Janet and Vincent review every detail of what they will be doing once they stop. They both hope the ship will get the bots there in time. The minutes on the tram extended into forever. The area of the ship was at the front, and the trams had to weave through a complicated structure and at times had to stop or climb. Janet had figured it would take Castor 15 minutes longer to arrive on the tram track he was on. They were on the direct line with no stops. Well, no real stops. I just described it stopping, and then I wrote a sentence saying that it stops. His would stop every so often. After the eternity of forever, the tram stopped. The air smelled harsh. Janet told him to reapply the air gear. They stalked down the hall around a few corners before going into a large room called Canteen. Vincent had only ever been to one of the garden canteens to repair lights. This one felt empty compared to the plants that had garden space. Janet led him behind the long counter to another space with shiny aluminum surfaces. The lighting was low, giving the room a gloom he thought would otherwise be very stark and striking. Janet opens the door to a smaller room. Inside are 3 bots, one of them holding what Vincent knew to be a taser that shot 4 spikes, each self-powered. One robot was holding a stick that had some cloth material in the side of it. Vincent assumed this was some kind of small version of a net gun he had seen on movies. The last robot had extended arms with an interesting flexibility Vincent had never seen before. Janet connects with the bots, connects Vincent, and they all review the plan. One of the bots worries that he may become nothing like his, or he may become nothing like his cousin that died with Hades. Vincent thought it was nice that the robots had some kind of family structure. The other 2 robots were excited to be doing something other than dusting and filing repair orders for the cats. This generation of bots had never seen a human walking around. Janet told the bots to stay low and turn off the accent lights before going out. One of the bots sarcastically said, "Yes, Mom." Vincent and Janet followed the bots down a hallway. One of them went down a left hallway, the other went into a space in the ceiling. The last bot, the one with the flexible arms, led them a few more turns, stopping in front of a door with Supervisor, Cold Storage Resource Management, off to the side on the wall. A row of windows on either side were high enough to allow the bot to remain unseen by anyone that might be inside. Janet connects to the ship and instructs it to open the door, then lock it once they're inside. She looks to Vincent. "Are you ready, kid?" Vincent nods. She asks the same of the bot. A low blinking light told her yes. With a zip, the door vanishes and they all jump in. The door slams and clunks behind them. Sitting behind a desk, hunched over a dozen screens and keyboards, sits a person. Something wrong with how they looked to Vincent. The hair on their heads seemed to be growing in clumps. The face was both bloated and gaunt. Possibly the sunken eyes and lips pulled over the teeth gave this sense. The chin and cheeks he could see were covered with marks that looked like scratches. Some of the fingers were missing nails, and the torso was mangled and scarred. When the raiding party entered, it took the human a moment of looking at them to register. Their eyes had a stone quality to them. The stillness was loud and full of energy. First, the bot dove for the human, knocking over screens and keyboards, throwing its flex arms wide to snag the unfortunate soul securely with a right hook. The human drops down with alacrity. The bot smashes into the wall and begins to turn around. Standing swiftly, the human grabs one of the screens and various objects off the desk and starts throwing them at the cats. Janet goes under the desk as Vincent hugs the right wall, running towards the desk from the other side. Appearing to sense the movement from the bot, the human jumps over the desk to the door. They seem confused at it not opening. They tap the side of their heads, screaming in various ways that might be cries or speech. The cats didn't know. Vincent gets to the desk, jumping on top. He looks for the hardwired screen and connects with it. Janet pushes the alarm button underneath the desk. Then she shoots out the ankles of the human. She shoots at the ankles of the human. The awareness of the person surprised Janet as she was about to claw their legs before they jumped on top of the sofa sitting in front of the long window row. Wait, what did it? Oh, she shoots out. This is why we're here. This is why we're here. Then she shoots out towards the ankles of the human. The awareness of the person surprised Janet as she was about to claw their legs before they jumped on top of a sofa sitting in front of the long window row and starting to punch at the glass. The bot orients itself, then dives for the human. Moving enough to avoid the bot, the human covers their eyes as the bot crashes through the glass. The human jumps out as Janet notices they are wearing an encounter suit. They are wearing encounter suit parts. The neck and earpiece, as well as the wrist and the thigh sensor, were how they were avoiding attacks. She relayed this information to the other bots and chased after them. Just as the glass breaks, Jack... Who's Jack? Vincent enters hardline computer with the human... Vincent enters the hardline computer the human was using to hide. It had admin privileges to the ship for emergencies. Somehow the human hacked the system and convinced the ship this section was clear by feeding false readings. Vincent was loving the movie-styled situation he was in. Bombs, a crazy human, attack bots, until he remembered Hades. He didn't like that part at all. He refocused and started to work on the software that was to detonate the bombs. Everything was going as planned. Janet, chasing the human, gave the net gun bot the signal to drop. This forced the human towards the taser bot. They both fired their weapons at the human. The taser darts missed and got caught in the net, stopping that short of its target. Just as they were getting back up to run, Janet jumped on their head. The bots reloading as Janet clawed at the encounter suit neck assembly. The human tried to grab at Janet and started to punch at her legs and head as best they could. The bots signaled that they were ready and Janet jumped down as the darts and net both hit the human. The net wrapped around and secured itself as the darts stopped stunning as soon as the human dropped. Janet told the bot to keep the darts active in case the human begins to move, and directed them both to directed the bots to take the human to the central hospital after putting them in a stasis bed. Taking stock of herself, Janet felt her right hind leg was broken. She possibly had what the system called a concussion and was bleeding from one ear and various parts of her body. She contacted Vincent to tell him that she got the guy and would be there as soon as she could get the medical bot to help her. Vincent was about to answer. He was nearly done isolating and disconnecting all of the subroutines and small programs the human wrote into the ship system to set the bombs off. He had just told the ship where the bombs were located and was about to finish when Castor tackled him off the desk. "Idiot child," Castor yells. "You fucking ruined everything." They grappled and rolled on the floor. "It's over. We caught the human. The ship knows the bomb, where the bombs are. The system is cleared," Vincent yells as he tries to claw at Castor's legs. Castor does what cats call a laugh and tries to bite Vincent's neck. You need to wear your air gear, Castor. This is not a safe environment." Vincent begins to panic. A few claw swipes he could survive. Bites are another thing. "Fuck you," Castor snarls as he leaps towards Vincent before getting smacked out of the air by the flex arm bot. Vincent sees the flex bot pick up Castor with one roll and the body of Hades with the other. He climbs back on top of the desk. Vincent climbs back on top of the desk, finishing the software sweep and security, allowing the ship back into the cold storage hardwire system. Moments later, after clearing his space on the desk and laying flat on his belly, Janet came... Okay, so Vincent lays down on the counter when he's done. And then Janet comes in being carried by a medbot. She looks around and says, "Shit, kid, you did amazing." They both sigh and let out relief howls. "I can't wait to rest for a week," Vincent says with his jaw flushed to the desk. Are you kidding? Janet says in a musical manner. You will show up for work in the morning. Just before Vincent could ask if she was serious, she adds, fuck that actually. I just told the ship we want a month off and all the catnip and fresh meat we can eat. All right. That's the story for Trust in Change. The obvious mistakes that I made, a couple of like grammatical flops and, maybe some confusing directions and details, as I was going through reading it. Since it is a first draft, you can't always know that, what you're writing is, accurate to describe everything that's going on. I'm writing off the top of my head, and it's difficult for any writer to get it right the first time like that. There's always revision. There's always a revision to the revision, and then a revision to that revision, and then sometimes the wording is wrong, and then sometimes the pacing is wrong. But I really like this story. This is something I might come back to. I like the characters. I like the idea of, selfish cat, like not wanting to join the rest of the cats in a giant pile like cats normally do. The gay male cat couple I thought was a really cute idea. And I didn't want to kill one of the cats, but I couldn't think of another way to make the narrative compelling. Like it could have just injured Hades or something, but I was thinking, kills him, Janet's in charge, the kid has to rise to the challenge and all that stuff. But there you go. Again, not a perfect story, but I think it was pretty good. And I want to thank you so much for joining me for this episode of First Drafts That Glow. As I said before, I will be releasing these weekly. They're all different genres. I write them all in one sitting, as you could tell, because whew, there are some things like I changed Vincent's name to Jack for some reason. I think it was because Janet, and then yeah. Anyways, holler at your cat. You can reach me at what is it, firstdraftsglow@gmail.com or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure that's it. You can check the notes below. The YouTube channel, tell your friends about it. Subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. And the shortcut to this channel is the @ firstdraftsthatglow. I was so happy when YouTube did that. If you're looking for more about me and my lovely face and other projects, you can always go to nailsthatglow.com, just as it sounds, nailsthatglow.com. I'm also on Mastodon, Eldritch Cafe, Nails That Glow, and Mastodon Social, Nails That Glow. I no longer on the Bird site. Those are defunct accounts. Just ugh. Well, it looks like recording stopped at some point, and I'm not really sure where it stopped. But I was saying I left the Bird site. It just, my goodness. Anyways, again, thank you so much for joining me for First Drafts That Glow. Please visit me at nailsthatglow.com. You can email me. There are links down below. And I love you.